Since the end of the Second World War, the name Boeing has been synonymous with air travel. They pioneered the wide-body jumbo jet with the 747, and they earned the trust of the public by consistently providing airlines with safe, reliable planes. But then everything changed with the 737 MAX. Now we're all left wondering whether that trust can be rebuilt. Hi everyone, I'm Jim, and I'm a nuclear engineer with over 25 years of experience operating, maintaining, and testing nuclear reactors. Organizations that deal with highly complex and dangerous technologies and do it very successfully are known as high reliability organizations, or HROs. This includes industries like nuclear power, aircraft carrier flight deck operations, and airline travel. In the past, Boeing was seen as a shining example of an HRO. So what went wrong? For decades, Boeing was at the forefront of the airplane design and manufacturing industry. Bill Allen, their CEO from 1945 to 1968, said that the spirit of the company was to eat, breathe, and sleep the world of aeronautics. And Boeing did very well with this corporate culture, designing the 707, the 737, and the 747. But after a change in leadership in the late 90s, the company shifted to be a more financially focused organization. Around that time, CEO Harry Stonecipher was quoted as saying, "When people say I changed the culture of Boeing, that was the intent, so that it's run like a business rather than a great engineering firm." Now, as an engineer, I find this statement to be absolutely soul-crushing. If I had been working at Boeing at the time, I don't know how long I would have stayed around. He was essentially saying that he wasn't interested in being a great engineering firm if that meant he could squeeze out a little bit more profit or increase the share prices. And as an engineer who also has an MBA, I find this statement to be baffling. Being a great engineering firm was the heart and soul of Boeing. Fundamentally changing what made them special makes absolutely no sense. You can be a great business and a great engineering firm. In fact, having a good balance between the two is probably ideal. And finally, as an engineer who has spent my entire career working for an HRO, I find this statement to be a little disconcerting. We're not talking about a company that makes refrigerators here. An airplane manufacturer cannot afford to put out a bad product every so often and learn from it and recover. The public has to have implicit trust in these companies. There's an implied social contract between an HRO and the public. Because it's not like you can choose which manufacturer of plane you're going to get on when you fly. Sure, you can choose the airline or the airport based on your personal preference and experiences, but you're going to get on whatever plane shows up at the gate. And I'm not against a company making profit. It just can't be profit over safety. Find efficiency. Find ways to reduce waste. But you cannot do that at the sacrifice of a safe product for the flying public. So let's talk a little more about HROs. The book Managing the Unexpected lists 5 attributes of an HRO. First, HROs must have a preoccupation with failure. HROs are focused on finding failures when they're small, and to do this, they must encourage honest reporting without fear of reprisal. HROs look at failures as an audit of their entire system and need to look at similar problems and similar processes to ensure that that mode of failure doesn't exist elsewhere. Second, HROs must be reluctant to oversimplify. When investigating problems, digging deeper than the simple causes like lack of communication or poor planning is the only way to get to the actual cause of a problem and put in place effective corrective actions. Third, sensitivity to operations. HROs understand that the real work gets done on the front line and that they must rely on the frontline worker to identify problems. Ultimately, nothing matters if the work isn't done well. Fourth, they must have a commitment to resilience. They need to analyze how they react to failure. Do they use this as an opportunity to learn and find other similar issues, or do they just solve the individual problem and move on without ever finding the actual cause of the problem? And fifth, an HRO must defer to expertise. HROs understand that expertise and position do not necessarily go together. In fact, the boss is rarely the expert, and the organization must rely on those with the right experience and knowledge to fully understand a problem and the impact of a potential solution. When an unexpected situation arises, expertise must have more value than rank. So let's look at Boeing in light of some of these attributes. It's obvious that Boeing's main goal in the 737 MAX was to simplify the approval process in order to save money. It's well documented they didn't tell regulators about specific changes and that they were making decisions assuming best case scenarios and the best pilots. And in the fallout of 2019, they seemed mostly focused on the software related problems. Based on what we've seen lately, they didn't take that failure as a sign that they needed to reevaluate the entire safety culture of the organization. There are numerous insider reports about quality issues being reported and the company just finding ways to keep making planes. They failed to see that these quality issues were going to eventually get past their inspection processes, and ultimately that led to a door being blown out of a plane at 16,000 feet. Inspections after the fact have found numerous cases of loose bolts on multiple airplanes. Luckily, nobody was seriously injured in this case. So let's look at what Boeing says they're going to do now. Increase quality inspections to add an additional layer of scrutiny on the manufacturing process. This should help them root out problems in their quality management system and find problems with their current processes. This should lead to higher quality and a more reliable product. Hold team sessions on quality to train on the fundamentals and to recommit to improving quality and compliance. The company announced that they were doing a full-day safety and quality stand-down from production work. This is a good chance to get back to the basics and get everyone to reset their understanding of the gravity of what they do on a day-to-day basis. It's really easy to lose sight of the significance of your job when it's a repetitive manufacturing job. Boeing will deploy a team to Spirit Aerosystems to work alongside their teams. Boeing will now inspect and approve the installation of the door plug before the fuselage is shipped to Boeing. If they're going to reestablish the necessary safety culture, those changes must happen even at the sites that work is contracted out to. Airline oversight inspections. Boeing will open the factories to 737 operators to inspect and review production and quality procedures. Spirit will do the same. Now, this is an opportunity to build trust with the airlines and to hear from the end users. I hope that the airlines send pilots and maintenance mechanics as part of these inspections, and I hope that this becomes part of the relationship between the airlines and Boeing going forward. Independent assessment. An outside party will be brought in to thoroughly review the quality management system and suggest further improvements. Boeing recently announced that they were bringing in retired Admiral Kirkland Donald to lead this investigation. I think this is a great choice and a sign that they're taking this seriously. Admiral Donald is the former head of the U.S. Navy Nuclear Propulsion Program, arguably the gold standard for HROs. He will ensure that a thorough and thoughtful investigation happens. Navy nuclear inspection teams have the highest reputation for digging into the details, being thorough, and not pulling any punches. I expect no less from this inspection. So with all of that, can we ever trust Boeing again? Well, if they follow through with what they say they're going to do, and they take the results of Admiral Donald's investigation seriously, then they're on the right track. While I think that the commitments that they've made so far are a step in the right direction, I do have concerns that they are overly focused on the recent quality problems and still aren't looking at the big picture of the culture of the organization. Hopefully, they are going to look at the corporate culture that led to all of the 737 MAX problems. Otherwise, something else will eventually pop up. It's very possible that they are doing this, and I truly hope they are. I also hope that they take this as an opportunity to bring back some of the old Boeing. That Boeing was special. That Boeing was what made people like me want to become engineers in the first place. I'd like nothing more than to see some of that magic return. Because I think we need Boeing to succeed. There are essentially two large airplane manufacturers in the world, Boeing and Airbus. We need both of them to challenge each other to continue to make innovative and safe products. So if Boeing gets back to its roots, I think they can regain our trust. But their leadership needs to do the hard work. They need to recognize the legacy they're standing on and honor that legacy. They need to recommit themselves to HRO principles and really dig into the details of what's going on with the company. Admiral Hyman G. Rickover, the father of the nuclear navy, used to say that the devil's in the details, but so is salvation. I hope that Boeing chooses that path.